My channel. If this is your first time here, I exclusively talk about rideshare, gig economy, and I provide the latest tips and tricks and news on the rideshare industry and gig economy as well. If you have already signed up as an Uber or gig economy driver on Uber, Lyft, or any other delivery company, and you would like to have your bonus added retroactively on Uber, my link is below. You will be getting a bonus. I typically get between $10 and $50 on a referral fee. Once you complete your 50 trips, I'll gladly reimburse you half of what I get. Now, if you're signing up for the first time and would like to use my referral code, like I said, not only will you be getting a bonus, I will be getting a referral fee as well, where I will gladly transfer you half of what I get. Now, in today's topic, I wanted to talk about Seattle's version of the AB5, which was unanimously passed in last September. The city legislation, the city council passed its own mini version of the AB5, where the study is currently being conducted, effective July of 2020. Rideshare drivers and the gig economy drivers will be making a minimum wage. That minimum wage has not already been established, as Seattle does have a $15 minimum wage. In all the other industries, like I said, the study is being conducted as we speak, and that minimum wage will be determined. Now, I will just quickly read an excerpt from an article that came out in November. I do not want to read the entire article, but I will give you a quick summary. It just kind of gives you an introduction of what the article is about, so you have an idea. Seattle raises fees for Uber and Lyft rides with a new tax, passes a minimum wage for drivers. Seattle Council City unanimously passed the legislation Monday that will establish a minimum wage for Uber and Lyft drivers and raise per ride tax to pay for the city program. Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkin introduces the pioneering Fair Share program in September as a way to extend the city's workers' protections to gig economy drivers. The program is the latest series of the regulatory headaches for Uber and Lyft, and as regulators crack down on their labor practices. Now, what this tax is all about is for every single ride, the tax of 57 cents is being added onto every trip. Last year, Seattle had 24 million Uber and Lyft rides, so we can group them as rideshare. And with the 57 cents, the city plans on estimated earnings will be $133 million by the year end of 2025. So with this tax, the city council will be investing the money into building or developing housing projects along its undeveloped areas. City of Seattle and the state of Washington built a light rail that extends from the SeaTac airport to the downtown, and from the Seattle airport and the University District, and this project will be extended further. But of course, along the light rail or the train that goes from the airport, there's a lot of areas that are being undeveloped. So this money will be used to finance the project. Not only that, the city is proposing for 500 units to be built so that the drivers can actually be able to afford, to have a normal cost of, the rent has skyrocketed, and with the 500 units, of course, they are planning for drivers to have an affordable program so they can actually afford to live in these 500 units that will be built along the undeveloped areas. It also wants to finance its streetcar program. At the same time, $17 million will be invested into building a driver's resolution center. So far there's a lack of standards in all the gig economy. Seattle does realize that there's a lack of standards. So I'll give you an example. I personally know someone who purchased a $40,000 car, and there was a false report. They were driving Uber Black. There was a false report, and now their payment is $500 per month, and they're no longer driving. Luckily, they had an option of driving a limo, but that's besides the point. They invested into purchasing a $40,000 car, and so this resolution center will be, the city of Seattle will be investing $17 million into building a set of standards with the resolution center. If someone was falsely deactivated, if there were false reports, alleged sexual, you name it, the center will be helping mediate. They will be arbitrating cases between Uber, rideshare, Lyft, you name it, to work in the favor of the drivers. So as previously mentioned, just a little side note, City of Seattle is not the only one introducing this tax. City of Chicago already has this tax, and it has kicked in, as to my knowledge. So like I said, the $133 million over 2025 will be invested in a number of different projects. As of effective July 1st, 2025, the minimum wage will be kicking in, where the drivers will be making a minimum wage. What that will be, we don't know, but studies are being conducted, and we shall find out. Now, here's a couple of questions that I have for everybody. Please let me know down in the comments. I would like to keep this short, but how will the drivers be affected? Will there be now Lyft and Uber, both their spokesperson, I don't want to go back into reading this, but they said basically, while they support the minimum wage, they think that by raising the taxes, less rides, less money will go into the driver's pockets, because this money will not go into the driver's pockets, but rather it's going to be used to finance projects that they're not going to benefit from. Again, my question is, how will the drivers be affected? What do you think? Please answer me in the comments. Who's going to pay for the tax? Riders? Is this going to be passed on to the riders? Are the fees going to be increased? Will drivers be taking less money home? Will additional taxes be raised? I don't know. Will there be a cap on the drivers? Now, with this being kind of like Seattle's own version of the AB5, how, if the minimum wage is introduced, let's say the minimum wage is $15 now, how will there be a shift? Are there going to be shifts for drivers? Will there be a cap on the drivers? Will Uber and Lyft all of a sudden start deactivating drivers? Again, these are all the questions that I think are very worthy into looking, because I don't know if drivers will really benefit from any of this. So the tax is great, the housing projects are great, the 500 units are great, but I live in the city of SeaTac, which is 10 miles south of Seattle, and I can tell you last year there were 400 Priuses registered in the city of SeaTac. This is the highest, a study was done, this is the highest number of Priuses in a small town, less than 50,000. Highest number of Priuses registered in my part of in my neck of the woods. Now, what is that telling you? The drivers are not going to be living in these projects, in these units, in these 500 units. If 400 vehicles were registered just last year in my area, meaning, not new cars, I'm talking about renewed registrations. So the drivers are not going to live within the Seattle city limits, because the rents are already skyrocketing. So these are all valid points not only does this apply to Seattle, but how does this apply across the country? If Seattle has, was already ahead of the AB5, they are looking into the future. But again, I bring up an important point on how will everybody be affected across the country. We already see the gig economy being affected, freelancers, independent contractors, these are all valid points. So guys, I leave you with this live. I will use this as a video as well. If you have any questions, like I stated, if you haven't already signed up or would like to have your bonus retroactively applied, follow the link, read the description. I will give you directions on how to, if you'd like to use my link. Once you complete your rides, I usually make between $10 and $50 on referrals. Once you complete your 50 rides, I will send you half of my referral. Not only do you get half of my referral, you get your bonus. Thank you very much for your attention, everyone. I hope you all have a happy Monday, and I'll see you on the next video. Good day.